Okay, if that's the case, then like what is the alternative?
Well, there are lots of alternatives, but I think a preferable alternative would just be a traditional state, right? So we abandon the core liberal concept of equality.
Okay, what else though?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, sure.
Oh, Sargon. He's
Yep.
he's a bit too he always was. Uh, I didn't mind it because he was saying things that really made sense, but I guess smug is a word for it, or just sort of like almost kind of like a schizophrenic wall decorator, where they have their own lingo for stuff, and if like it's incredibly densely packed, and they expect you to get it, and if you don't get it, they have no plan to help you get it. It's not exactly that, but it's similar with Sargon, where he expects that if he just lays out the absolute minimum basis of his idea, that you can figure the rest of it out. Or at least that's what he seems to be doing here. He always did that a little bit, but I think it kind of made sense back then, because he would later explain it, and often it sort of did make sense, and what he was saying was right. In this case, if all you're giving us is liberalism is bad, we need instead traditionalism and no equality. What the hell does that mean? Because that kind of sounds like feudalism. That sort of explicitly, almost, because of no equality. But again, Sargon, you got to understand that, and I'm surprised I'm having to say this to Sargon of all people, because I'm pretty sure I've told him this before. There's like 10 different definitions of equality within the realm of politics specifically. And some of them are good, some of them are bad. The ones that are good are the ones liberalism advocates for, and for good reason as well. Sargon has known all of this, and I'm not sure what's changed.
Do you want me to tell you what I think it is?
Sure.
It is the fact that he has been in the Lotus Eater's echo chamber for several years now. And because he is basically parroting what several members of the Lotus Eaters' politics were, whatever. I don't know if they're still in. I haven't watched the Lotus Eaters myself. But basically, this is the view of several members of the Lotus Eaters. And he has been in that echo chamber. And the problem with being in the echo chamber is, you have a tendency to start repeating it. And also, look, he's in his 40s now. He's very much in his 40s. He's got several kids. He's got a life to deal with. So, he will go, oh, is that what this is? Okay. And he will take the people that he trusts as word and opinions as gospel, and he will just start repeating. It happens.
It may also be, as I said earlier, as Somnus is saying now, and sort of as you touched on there, was that he's so intent upon defending his family and the things that really matter to him that he will adopt an ideology he just views as more like strong or harsh or in some way masculine, even if, in fact, he should know it's not a sensible thing to adopt.
Yeah.
If you adopt something which is on the surface more harsh, aggressive, and tough, but it's rotten and empty underneath. And no, I would much rather have liberalism.
In the end, you are only going to hurt your kids in the long run. Because while you may keep them safe from the current bad thing, the generations of bad thing that is going to follow if you decide to go down this road is going to affect not just your kids, but their kids too.
Yeah, it may happen much sooner than you expect as well.
You are only setting up a much more difficult and perhaps physically violent fight for your children or your children's children.
Yeah.
Right now, it's an ideological fight.
Yeah.
Again, just to remind people why we're doing this, it's to show. Look, again, respect these guys. I genuinely do respect these guys to a certain degree, and to a varying degree, depending on the person. But this is how far these guys have fallen because of echo chambers. Do not go into echo chambers. And of course, these guys can be redeemed to a certain extent. Again, the degrees vary. But yeah, the reason why we're doing this is because it has to be done. You have to sometimes break this stuff down, because you need to go, hey, this is this and this and this and this and this is wrong and this is why. And yeah, you got to interject some funny in. You got to interject some humor. So.
A lesson for them, perhaps. But this is my first encounter with Sargon's beliefs changing of them. Perhaps not quite first, but maybe I've seen like 2 or 3 instances of the change over the years, but I haven't been watching his show, his Lotus, I haven't been watching anything about him. This is about the first I've seen of his actual change in belief. So I'm coming to it fresh, and perhaps I'm a little annoyed because a lot of the certitude that I had, say 5-6 years ago on these principles that I've today learned to found my own certitude for came from him. And it's surprising that his what I thought was unshakable devotion to what I think is quite clearly the correct path through politics has been shaken, and possibly not for very good reasons. Something I will say and repeatedly come back to is that in the realm of explaining the diversification of biological life, evolution by natural selection is the answer, and everything else that we learn about the diversification of biological life will build upon that theory and exist within the confines of that theory. Similarly, and with less certainty but still a decent amount of certainty, I think liberal principles, classical liberalism, is that for politics.